Warning. The following program is a satirical look at Indigenous news, politics, and current events. Bannock and tea is advised.
Oh yeah. Anin bonjour and welcome to The Laughing Drum. I am your host, Tim Fontaine, and we have got an exciting show for you tonight. The return of our very distinguished roundtablers, now rebranded as, get this, the Red Power Panel. They'll be here to weigh in on the hottest issues facing Indigenous peoples today, but first, let's take a look at what's been happening on the news. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wrapped up his cross-country town hall tour in British Columbia on Friday. Trudeau had faced hecklers at several of the town halls, and BC was no different.
Please.
I think I'm okay. It's okay.
She just wanted a hug. 3 times Trudeau ordered police to remove hecklers who had confronted him about his support for the Kinder Morgan pipeline.
If you guys sit down and behave until I get to you, I will give you the mic. Show of hands. Who thinks it's time for these people to leave? Okay. Thank you. Please go. Yes, we're going to ask the police to remove you.
That's angry Trudeau there. Trudeau, who was once accused of elbowing a fellow federal politician, said that he would not answer people who choose to behave like parliamentarians. Moving on to sports. Chief Wahoo is going bye-bye. The controversial and, let's be honest, racist mascot for Cleveland's professional baseball team will be retired in 2019. Sort of.
Earlier today, the team announced player uniforms will cease to carry the logo as of the 2019 season. However, the Canadian Press reports that team merchandise sold to the public will still carry the image.
But have no fear. I'm sure the team will soon unveil a new mascot that's even more racist than Chief Wahoo. Can't wait. Still in racist things going bye-bye news, a bronze statue of Edward Cornwallis has been removed from the Halifax park that still bears his name. Cornwallis, considered the founder of Halifax, had offered a cash bounty to anyone who killed a Mi'kmaq person. The city's council had been reviewing what to do with the statue when they voted to suddenly remove it anyways.
The decision comes days after the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs called for the statue's immediate removal, saying the review process was taking too long.
Now, understandably, Mi'kmaq people celebrated the statue's removal, but there are still some who say removing the statue is erasing history. Well, luckily, those people will be delighted to learn about the existence of books. And finally, last week, we introduced you to new Laughing Drum contributor Alyssa Kickson, who gave her colorful reaction to Canada splitting Indigenous affairs into 2 new departments. Here's how that went down.
That means double the rights, double the status cards, double the land, hey?
I don't think that that's what it means. I think they're splitting the department, but one is dealing with services and one is dealing with rights.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
No.
they're just dividing the work. It doesn't mean double rights.
What?
I'm
Thanks, Dustin.
This week, we decided to take a different, softer approach. After all, Ministers Jane Philpott and Carolyn Bennett need our support, not our scorn. That's why we at the Laughing Drum are developing this new game. In Super Liberal Sisters, you'll battle sloppy reporters, secure funding for First Nations housing and clean drinking water. You'll also face off with bosses like Federal Finance Minister Bill Morneau. Super Liberal Sisters, fun for the whole family. Reconciliation not included, may cause apathy. I know what my kids are going to want for Christmas. You might ask how a video game helps two ministers do their jobs. Well, you know what? It's about as useful as splitting one giant bureaucracy into two giant bureaucracies. We have to take a short break, but when we come back, you'll meet our distinguished panelists. Don't touch that dial. It doesn't exist. All right, welcome back to the Laughing Drum, my beloved Laughing Drumlets. Now, as you're well aware, those other networks have their at-issue panels or their power panels or their old white dudes in suits who discuss whether things are racist panels. I throw shade at them because tonight you're going to meet the only TV panel you'll ever need. It is my great honor to introduce you to the Laughing Drum's Red Power Panel. They are Alyssa Kickson, a member of the Couchiching First Nation and a contributor to the Laughing Drum, Sasha Mark, a child of Winnipeg and a key figure in the woke comedy hour. And rounding out our roundtable is legendary Anishinaabe funny man, Jerry Barrett. Welcome legendary. To you all. Yes, legendary. He's a living legend. Let's get to it. This past week, Cleveland's professional baseball team announced that their uniforms will no longer bear the grotesque caricature Chief Wahoo beginning in 2019.
Chief Wahoo, whose red-faced racist caricature you see here, has adorned the uniforms of Cleveland's Major League Baseball team since 1948. Earlier today, the team announced player uniforms will cease to carry the logo as of the 2019 season.
But they'll still sell merchandise with the mascot on it in Cleveland. Let's get to it. Jerry, any of you guys, are you guys sports fans?
No.
No?
I'm sorry.
No, what the hell are we doing?
All right, let's wrap this up. Good night, everybody. No, because I'm wondering if that tempers how you feel about the issue of mascots. Because I know I've seen Indigenous guys walking around with Blackhawks logos, and some of them even have the Chief Wahoo tattoo.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that changes it?
Well, I think here it would change things on APTN because we're going farther and farther down the road with this racist stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, sports on APTN, some night it's going to be, good evening and welcome to APTN Sports, where tonight the Redskins will take on the Blackskins. Whoever wins will be exterminated by the Whiteskins. Now the APTN movie, Hostile. Hostile.
Whoa, simmer down.
The revolution has begun.
Okay.
I snorted.
Yeah, you did snort.
I did snort.
Yeah.
Okay,
so they're retiring it, but they're still going to sell it. You're still going to see it for most of 2017, or is it 2018? Whatever year it is now. You're still going to see it for the rest of the season. Is that enough?
So, when they retire it, does it disappear?
Nope.
Like, people who bought it in, the 60s and 70s and, today, does it, disappear? Like, in Back to the Future, when Marty starts to disappear from the... is that going to happen? Because then maybe, yes, I'd be like, sweet, that's awesome. But if it's not going to disappear in Back to the Future, then what the hell's the point?
It'll reappear on eBay and become a
well,
collectible.
That's the thing. They're still going to sell them.
Yeah.
They're still. The only thing that's going away is that it won't be on their uniforms.
Mm-hmm. Right. And is their team name going to disappear as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that
I'm going to change it till Chief Wahoo is done and he lost his job.
But that name, Indians, I'll say it, Indians. Is that on a scale of 1 being the KKK and 5 being casual hipster racism? Where does Indians lie on that scale?
I don't know. I feel like it lies in super inaccurate because we're not Indians. So it's I feel like it just adds a whole lot of confusion to who are you talking about?
That's true too.
Sasha?
And on that as well, I think when we came here, when the Europeans came here, colonized us, one of the things they gave us was the term Indians, and now that's something that they want to take away. I like to use it as a way to be like, haha, you guys called us this, and it's like that's your fault that we're calling ourselves this now. So it's just kind of taking that back, that power too. So
you get the Cleveland Indians, but then, dare I say it, you've got the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah.
Now, where do we stand there? I know Edmonton's a proud city, and a lot of people don't have a problem with that, but perhaps we should have some sort of a baseball game between the Indians and the Eskimos. And then, next on APTN, the Cleveland Indians come up to play football against the Eskimos. You see, that could be a win-win situation right there. And then retire the logos.
Okay, one last question on this topic. Is there a way for teams, because for some reason they seem fixated on Indigenous people for their team names, despite the entire universe being around them. That seems to be the only thing. Is there a way they can do that respectfully?
I mean, I get it. We're awesome people. We were here first.
I mean,
look at us. We're great, but we don't want to be associated with ungreat people.
Yeah. But is there a way to do it respectfully?
To me, there's problems as well. You're having people showing up to these games in complete red face. They're dressed up with feathers all over their hair. They're dressed in Redskin. And having a mascot like that, could bring that more to light as well too. And that's something that I personally don't want to see more of later down the road when it comes to sporting events, because that's a predominant culture with all of that too.
So, I think you were answering my question.
Race. You shouldn't use race to make dollars in this day and age. You can have,
unless you're APTN.
Sorry, boss.
You lost his job.
Tim, we're going to have to let you go.
No, you don't have to have blatant racism to sell beer and popcorn in the stands and make a stereotypical logo of an Indigenous person, even though I actually look like Chief Wahoo.
That's a little. Oh my!
I know. It's a gift. It's one of my many gifts.
Maybe that could be a side gig.
It could be. I do Elvis, now I do Chief Wahoo.
I just feel like we're the only segment of the population where it seems to be okay to mascot us.
Yeah.
It's, we discovered that blackface wasn't, an okay thing. And, it's not okay to, make fun of any other population. But for some reason, it's oh, this is our honoring, so we're supposed to be okay, but I'm not okay with it.
Yeah, and also I don't think there is really a strong argument to keep the logo. A lot of people are arguing, it's based on tradition and that we're being too sensitive and that it's just a caricature, but it's also very damaging. And I think that's if that's your only excuse, that's pretty garbage. Get out.
Yeah, I've seen some photos of how they honor us.
It's pretty, and as an Indigenous person, if I shelled out a couple $100 to go to one of those sporting events and I was sitting beside somebody who was in red face and feathers and doing the tomahawk chop, I really wouldn't feel very comfortable there. I wouldn't feel welcome there. And I don't think that should happen to anybody in the stands, an old timer like me, or even a youth that goes to the game, and have to see that.
Yeah, you hear that, Cleveland? This guy's going to straighten you out.
That's right.
Let's move on to something I talked about in the headlines. Cornwallis, Edward Cornwallis. There's a bronze statue of General, I call him General, but I'm actually not sure what he is. Cornwallis that stood in Halifax Park for over 80 years. It came down after years of protest. Now, Cornwallis, as you know, is considered the founder of Halifax, but he had offered a bounty for killing Mi'kmaq people. I'll ask a question straight from my colleagues in the mainstream media. Is this erasing history?
No.
No?
No, I feel like history is there whether there's a statue to monument it or not.
Yeah.
Things happened. There were he really wasn't the founder of Halifax because the Mi'kmaq people were there before. So it's not erasing, his title or his significance. It's just not honoring his, contributions to Canada.
Yeah. Well, what I didn't like about it, I assumed that with most statues, most monuments, they have a plaque at the bottom of the monument, so tourists can come by and take a look at it and read about the great accomplishments that this person may have. There was no plaque. They're saying that he put out a bounty on the Mi'kmaq's scalps. Yeah. There was none of that. It was just, oh, isn't this a nice statue? Take a selfie and be on your way. Yeah. But as humankind have always erected statues to honor their war, their generals that won in war, and we have those all over the place. Around North America, and I once watched the Dukes of Hazzard, and I thought, yay, the Dukes, yay, the Duke boys, what are they going to do now, And then I learned later, oh, for the love of God.
The social rise again. That was always weird for me growing up to see, like when I think about it now, because I was a fan of the Dukes of Hazzard, and you see these Indigenous kids with the Union Jack. It's bizarre, yeah.
But Daisy Duke was the reason I watched.
Well, there you go.
Carry on.
If we don't tear down monuments to racist dudes, how do we teach that? Because they're mostly dudes.
Well, I would put that statue, if somebody's saying put it in mothballs and put it away, Ryan McMahon said put it in some sort of a museum. I say put it in the Museum for Human Rights here in Manitoba with a proper plaque, and there you go. I'm spitting on you. Sorry about that. I got worked up on this show.
That's how angry
but that's what I would do, is I would put it in the Museum of Human Rights. Yeah. But there's all kinds of things out in Neepawa. I pulled over in my car on the way home from a gig one time, and I pulled over on White Man Drive. Yeah, and I thought, oh gosh, if this isn't some sort of a sign, I put it in drive and get the heck out of there. But yeah, you just never know where it's going to sneak up on you.
There's also Colonization Road.
Apparently there's a lot of those across the country. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we could melt it down and, turn it into something useful. Like, I don't know, some Martha Stewart type decoration.
Yeah. I thought we
Yeah, what would you rather see? What would you rather see there?
A paper shredder. You can make it into a giant paper shredder. Whenever the government have papers about, policies against the Indigenous people that they want to get rid of, put it through the Cornwallis paper shredder. Or make it into a barbecue to make bannock and moose meat on. You could cook up some great foods on it.
I think Sarah McLachlan, she's from Nova Scotia, so she saved lots of dogs with her music. So I'm down for a Sarah McLachlan big statue. Save the dogs. Yeah,
I don't know why. We have the Terry Fox monument. Why don't we in 2018 and beyond, why don't we have statues that honor people that actually contributed something to humanity instead of the warring people? Celebrate, if they ever find a cure for diabetes, I hope that's soon, you could honor that person, or a cure for cancer, people that have positive things for humankind.
Who would you rather see? Who would you like to see a statue of? I'll start with you, Sasha.
I just said Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah?
Yeah, cool. She's from there, I think.
Alyssa?
I would have to go with either Tecumseh or Buffy St. Marie.
I think there is one of Tecumseh
in
Ottawa.
There's a stone of Tecumseh, isn't there?
Does it look like him at all? No? Is it just a stone?
I'm pretty sure.
But wait a minute.
This is the mug.
Oh, wait a minute. In South Dakota, we have that monument of Crazy Horse.
Yes,
that's taken hundreds of years. It's taken to do that. And the indigenous people of that territory are saying, no, don't tear down and reshape a mountain to honor Chief Crazy Horse, because you're not honoring his spirit when you do that, when you're taking apart a mountain, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind the Trump Tower, a mountain! Please, honor him and don't do anything but remember him in your prayers. But it's too late now, because you've blown up the mountain and his face is already there. Yeah. So it's a win-lose situation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You think it's a win-lose situation?
Well,
that particular instance is.
I think that's a lose-lose situation. They have a beautiful Native American center there, so you can go and learn the history of the territory and some of the leaders and people there. But then you look up and the mountain is there.
Yeah. Is that even like an indigenous sort of thing to build monuments to people?
No.
Totem poles.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, totem poles are cool.
Totem poles are there to honor, the different clan systems. So they're really not, like, there's no totems that have, like, Eric Robinson and then Phil Fontaine and then Wab Canoe. Like,
They do in my house.
Well, they should have that now. It's time to update the totem pole in your neck of the woods, ladies and gentlemen. I like the Canada Goose and Wawa. You know, that's, you know, doesn't really...
Big things.
It's unoffensive. The Happy Rock out in Gladstone, that's cool.
He's racist, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, he's white. They could have painted him any color.
The people of Gladstone, he's not racist. I'm just messing around. You're getting angry letters now, people throwing rocks. I'll show you. Okay, let's get serious for a minute here.
Oh, all right. Oh.
If the statue of Cornwallis and an Inukshuk faced off in battle, who would win and why?
Oh, the Inukshuk, hands down.
Hey?
Oh, yeah, the Inukshuk.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it has years.
Exactly.
Well, like, I feel like it would probably have these, like, Matrix-type moves where it would, like, the rocks would just...
It could reshape itself.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an Inuit transformer.
It's fireproof, bulletproof, whatever proof. You can't poison it. It's got you.
And it has no scalp.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. We're going to...
I went there.
That's good.
I went there.
Well, we are talking about a Scalpmeister, so why not? Although I don't know if it was actually scalps or if it was just a bounty on the...
It didn't matter because it was adults and children that you got money for.
Too.
Yeah, so I mean, not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
He put it out there.
Yeah, and so did you.
I absolutely did.
Can we reverse racism, these sorts of things? I don't know.
I will do it again!
Did it once. All right, we got to take a short break, so don't you dare go anywhere. We'll be back.
Did you know we got the social medias?
Don't lie.
It's true. Like the Laughing Drum on Facebook and follow us on Twitter right now.
All right, welcome back to the show, and that's actually our show for tonight. That's all the time we have for. I want to say a special thank you to my distinguished Red Power panel. They are Jerry Barrett.
Thank you, Miigwech.
Alyssa Kickson. Sasha Mark. And before you guys go, is it Mark or Marks? I should know this by now.
M-A-R-K.
Yeah. Before you guys go, I have a very special gift for each and every one of you. If you could pass that down.
Yay.
Because we're not actually paying you guys, so we figure you guys could have some of that. Taste of Decolonization, the Laughing Drum canned luncheon meat.
Very nice.
You could probably cut that up and eat it maybe about a week.
What are you guys doing after? I'm so
Fry it up.
excited.
Have some fun with it.
Can you put this instead of a bannock smoothie? You could make a smoothie out of this.
Probably could, yeah. That's all the time we have for it.
It's a challenge for you.
Good night. We'll see you all back here next Tuesday. I am Tim Fontaine, and like a racist statue, I am disappearing into the night. Thank you.